Rashad Beard, what's up, fella?
What's going on, guys?
You doing all right, big dog?
Yeah, man.
That real job getting in the way of the fun stuff.
Sometimes.
So what you're saying is a spy game isn't fun, Rob, and I it looks like it's fun.
Just rather talk football.
Yeah, man. You know, spy stuff gets old sometimes.
Sometimes you just want to take the suit off and put all the gadgets away and just talk football.
Just want to talk football.
Yep.
Rashad, if you're interviewing a wrestling champion, what is the first question you would ask them? We got Damian Priest coming in Monday, who is the world heavyweight champion for WWE.
Familiar.
Rob and I will be short, which is it's a concern. Thinking about wearing some taller shoes. Because I will be.
You're not making up the ground from 6 foot to 6
No,
foot.
but I will be the shortest guy in the room. I don't. That's yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I would ask him though. I've listened to a couple of kind of know a little bit about him already. I guess one of the questions I would have asked is kind of what he modeled his style after. I know it's Scott Hall, so I mean, I
probably will ask that.
Yeah, maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. We don't know how to ask questions, so we're asking other people to tell us how to do that. So, yeah.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Coming up the next hour is a free-for-all Friday hour. Whatever y'all want to get to, I'm all good. But this segment, we normally do on Thursdays. However.
Hey Rob, do you think Rashad has a Dan Morgan stare in him?
I know we're about to find out because we're about to talk about Dan Morgan with Rashad Beard, the host of the Panther Nation podcast. Ordinarily joins us on Thursdays, but he was caught up gallivanting the world yesterday, doing important stuff, so he makes his appearance today. What's up, fella? How you feeling?
What's going on, man? Feeling good. Coming off a really, really busy week for PNP. So everything is good though. No complaints at all.
I believe it. Watched a little bit of the draft review and the class breakdown and getting 89's thoughts on some of it. And real good episode, man. You guys are smoking right now.
Yeah. Good stuff going on with PNP. Like I said, we got, like you said, we sat down with Steve Smith Sr., the legend, greatest Panther of all time, in my opinion. It's humbling, really good guy, really good episode. And we also got a chance to sit down with Jalen Coker, undrafted free agent for the Carolina Panthers, with minicamp starting up. You know, it's really important to get a hold of him before he got busy. So, yeah, that was a couple things I couldn't talk about. Didn't want to jinx anything last week, but we had both of those happen. It was good stuff. All good things.
I guess the 89 was coming back because the first one y'all did last year was good. I was like, 89's coming back. It's got to be. So good job. Well done on that. What was, and I'll ask you to tell the people, what was his hit? What was his miss? What was his high? What was his low from the draft class?
So I think one thing that was very interesting for me, and he kind of flipped me on, was Shaw Smith-Wade, the cornerback that we took. You know, I was a little low on him. Called him a nickel and things like that. And Smitty was like, "Hey man, you gotta relax on this kid. He just learned how to play nickel at the Senior Bowl." Talked about some of his tape going back in the Pac-12, playing up against or Pac-2 or 2-pack now. So he again hyped him up a little bit. And so that's a guy he really kind of flipped me on. Other than that, he kind of solidified Xavier Legette, talked about some of the things, and another thing we talked about was the Jalen Coker stuff, and he kind of leveled expectations regarding Jalen Coker and the chances of him making the team. We're all cheering for him, but it's a long, tough road ahead for undrafted guys. So he kind of levels set expectations there. It's a really good episode. I think that the what makes the dynamic so good between PNP and Smitty is that we come in with a fan perspective. He comes in with the real perspective. So he has access to information that we will never have access to. And so he kind of says, all right, guys, this is nice, but this is kind of really what goes on behind the scenes. And so this is why some of the moves are being made. So if you're, somebody wants to know a little bit more about the game, and why some of the decisions are made. It's a really, really good episode. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Did he call you lazy on your own show? Because what kind of jerk?
No, he didn't. He did not. In fact, he gave me a lot of props. As a matter of fact, he said we did good work.
Must be nice.
By the way, Rashad, you can see it still hurts him. You see the pain?
Oh man, and that's funny.
I did make a promo out of it, but I took the lazy part out. I took that part out because you already stung him once.
Nice call back there. That was great. That was great. Good work. That's great work right there. Great work right there.
I'm good. I'm good at this. All right. If nothing else, I'm good at this. Rashad Beer from the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Let me give you a take I have right now and get your thoughts on it. Carolina, the first team to lock up the whole draft class. First team to get everybody under contract. That is something that I think a lot of casual fans like, okay, cool, whatever. That's great. To me, it's actually kind of a deal. Okay? It tells me that Dan Morgan was like, he's in the office, he's grinding, he's getting these contracts done. It takes a lot off the plate of the rooks, right? They don't have to be worrying about their agents. They don't have to be worrying about contract. That's all done. We can dial in on minicamp. A lot of rooks are going to start their camp without a contract underneath them, and I think that can kind of be a bit of a distraction. I actually think Dan Morgan gets some props, deserves some flowers for the fact that he was able to lock that class up this quickly, just not even a couple of weeks, and let everybody start getting dialed in on football.
Yeah, getting that entire class done is important. We've seen even last year, going back to last year, Bryce Young kind of held out. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a holdout, but it took him a little bit to sign. So getting the draft class done is great. I think that because you have a guy that was drafted later in the first round, Xavier Legette, there probably isn't much contention. Again, great job. It is great to say, hey, we were the first to get our draft class signed, get that drama out the way, because guess what? Today is the day the rookie minicamp starts. So you want to keep your eye on football. You want to get going, get all the money talk out the way. And kudos to the entire front office, Brent Tillis. They're doing a great job, man. Things are trending in the right directions. Again, like you said, the casuals may not understand how good of a sign that is, but everything that we're doing so far, it just feels different. It feels like they're intentional about things. So all of it is trending in the right directions. All these little mini steps are adding up, and it's looking pretty good so far.
Oh man, I was really over that.
So you keep playing. I can't hear Legette without hearing some Legette. I mean,
I'm glad you played it, because when you and I talked about Xavier Legette the week before the draft, because I told you I think that's my guy, and that ends up being the pick. The week after the draft, we talked about him. I said on this show, and I hope it wasn't too lazy, that I think Xavier Legette has got the body style to play a style similar to. I'm not saying he will be as physically dominant. We don't know. But to play a game similar to a DK Metcalf, can play the same style of game. And I've now seen a handful of evaluators and analysts that have kind of come aboard that train. Now that you've had a couple of weeks to process, to watch some game film, to ask 89 about it, where do you fall on the first round pick?
Yeah, I mean, even Smitty, according to his comps, he comped him to DK too. So I can't call you lazy. That'd be calling the GOAT lazy, and I'm never gonna do that. Never gonna do that. So he did comp him to DK, and it's tough not to, right? When he folds that jersey up and he just got the abs ripping out. Of course, you're gonna say, hey, this guy looks a little bit like DK. But I would say that DK, as of right now, is a little bit more mature in his route running. I would say that one thing that Smitty said was that as of right now, if you compare both of them in their current stages of their career, comparing DK to his collegiate career and Xavier Legette to his collegiate career, he says Xavier Legette is a little bit ahead of schedule. And so I think he has to develop the route running. I think it's all going to boil down to this. And it's so simple, but not so simple, because we've seen guys like Terrace Marshall come in here and flame out. Not to their, I don't think it's their fault. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's their fault at all. It's just due to the coaching changes and things like that, different directions. But we've seen guys like Terrace Marshall flame out. We've seen Mingo struggle a little bit. It's going to boil down to whether Dave Canellis can put Xavier Legette in the best position to succeed. There are certain routes that he's good at, coming across the field, eating up zones. That's what he's good at. Yak, getting the football, letting him go. That's what he's good at. You have to get him the football early and let him develop those X skill sets to be able to beat guys deep and win off press coverage. He isn't quite there yet. So there is some development, but there are things he's really good at. And is Canellis going to get him create something for him to get out there and show us why he's a first round pick?
That brings me back to something that Canellis said either the day before or the day after the draft. He was talking about BY, and he said the first step for me is to go work with BY to see what he is best at, what he needs work at, and to help him work on the things that are weaknesses, but make sure we cater our offensive plan to his strengths. That kind of seems like a Canellis philosophy. And so that if that's your concern, it's just one more reason, I think, to get excited about Canellis. Like, I know all of us are kind of, and you've said this 100 times on this show and your own, you're tempering expectations until you get something, but we're also fans, dude. Come on. Like, we're not going to have zero. Canellis's philosophy seems to be play to the strengths, emphasize the strengths. And if that's the case, I think BY to XL could be a phenomenal duo.
Yeah. And you see what Canellis has worked with over the past couple of years. You know, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf himself. So if anybody knows how to use a guy with that similar skill set, it's going to be Dave Canellis. And so I hope, here's what I'm hoping though. You got to remember, XL has Deontay Johnson in front of him. He has Adam Thielen in front of him. So let's not expect him to go out there and have a 1,300-yard season, right? We are going to be a run-first team. There's going to be opportunities for XL. Will he take advantage of them? I'm sure he will get plenty of opportunity. But let's not put a 1,000-yard season on him and say, oh, that's the benchmark he needs to hit in order to be a successful first-round pick, because that's not the case. I think that it's going to be a development year for all these guys, and that's okay because they have great talent that's going to teach them the ropes ahead of them. Guys like even Jonathan Brooks, you know, you bring in guys like Rashad Penny, Chuba Hubbard's balling right now. We don't need Brooks to be out there and be the next eye compliment to Arian Foster. We don't need that from them. But over the next couple of years, let's get them to develop and eventually become those guys. That's what I'm looking for from Canellis. We have to develop. And that's what we haven't done over the past couple of years.
I'm glad you brought up John Brooks. I actually did want to ask you about that because Lonzo's been hanging on the run first team moniker for since I got here. And that's fine. That's what this has been. And I'm not saying it's always got to be that way, but for now it is. My prediction about the season was we're going to get to 7, week 8, week 9, and we're going to start getting calls from people going, why did we draft a guy like John Brooks if we're not going to play him? And my thought is, not only do I want to give the guy plenty of time to get his ACL right, because he's young enough that it can be recovered from, but I want every bit of time that we can give him. But if you're going into this year knowing it's a developmental year, that is included for Jonathan Brooks. I think there's a role for him on this team. I think there's XP for him to be gotten in this season. But he's coming in as RB3 at the absolute best. And that even depends on if Miles Sanders has some sort of renaissance this offseason. I wonder what the role is, though, like what the quantity of carries John Brooks might have is and what his role on this team is, in your opinion.
Yeah, I think he's going to progress. I think it's going to be a little while before we actually get to see him fully get the brunt of carries. Now, one thing I will say about Brooks is he has a skill set that these other guys aren't good at, and that's catching out of the backfield and a blocking back. He's really good in pass protection out of the backfield. That is what prevents a lot of rookies from getting on the field early is pass protection. And I said that during this show with Smitty. So I think that, again, like you said, we got to give him time to fully heal. And that's why I was a little off on the pick. I really didn't agree with, spending that much capital, second round pick on a guy that's going to sit. But I do think the talent over the next couple of years eventually he'll be RB1, right? He's going to work his way into RB1. He's got to be healthy. He's really good. It's shifty out the back. It makes the first guy miss. I think he had like 700 something yards after contact. So he's really good. And listen, we're just gonna have to wait for it. I think Chuba, we're in good hands as far as running back position, so I'm not worried about it. But I think over the course of the season, you're gonna see him get more and more integrated into the offense, and hopefully we'll get some of that CMC love out of the backfield when it comes to reception.
60-second answer. We're up on the clock. We got you got somebody in the chat right now said develop. Grandizer 12 said develop the 3 to 5 year project. I might be optimistic here. Talk me back if I am. I don't think it's 3 to 5 year project. I think it's 3 at most. I think you've got the talent now. I think you've got a coaching staff, or at least a head coach that understands development, and I think has really put all his chips in that basket. Yeah, it's going to take time. And I don't even think it's 2 year, but I think 3 years from now, Carolina is competitive in this division. Not competitive in, Carolina's at the top of this division with the talent they've built.
Yeah, I think so. I think 3 years is conservative. I think that's a good enough answer. But I will say this. I think things were so bad last year that, around Bryce Young, that I think we're going to be a little bit better quicker than folks think, right? I think things were just so bad, inept, right? I think that it was so bad that all we needed was a competent individual to come in here and be able to coach and get things going. So I think, personally, I'm not saying we'll win the division, but I think we'll be much more competitive quicker than people think. So that's my 60-second answer.
Hey, Rob, remember he said he's going to be real? That optimism is creeping in. It's creeping in.
Listen, when you get a little bit more information, sometimes I'm starting to feel it. I think it was so bad last year, just based on some things that I've heard, that I think we're going to be a little bit better, quicker than people think.
As a result of not being lazy.
You're not going to convince me. You're not going to convince me yet, but the more excited you get, the more excited I might get. I don't know.
I'm trying.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go to the YouTube channel, get subscribed, turn that notification on. They're live all the time, including, if you have not seen it yet, their draft class review with all-time Panther legend Steve Smith. I watched a chunk of it. It is phenomenal. Going to finish it up over the course of the weekend. What you guys got coming up this week?
Yeah, please go over there and support that. That's a great thing. The Steve Smith Senior interview. It's becoming an annual thing, so check that out. A lot of stuff going on. We'll recap mini camp. We got the schedule reveal next week, so we'll be live during that. It's a lot going on. You got to come over. Going out there today to check out the rookies, not watch them, but maybe grab a couple autographs, give them away. I do a lot of giveaways on the channel, so maybe XL jersey, maybe not. I don't know. You just got to come over and see. A lot of good stuff, man. PNP is where it's at. If you want that Panthers content, like and subscribe, all that good stuff.
Don't be lazy. Subscribe to
Don't be lazy.
I'm not. It's going to be a little minute.
That's a new tagline. I got to use that one.
Yeah.
You got to get over this. You really do. It's
ain't happening. I thought that was my guy.
Therapy. We'll get him some therapy. It'll be all right.
Rashad, appreciate it, big dog. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Peace out, guys. Thank you.
Later on, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Again, you can follow them on Panther Nation PC on Twitter. You can also make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel, Panther Nation Podcast. He is back next Thursday.
Maybe you're trying to make him feel all guilty and everything. I hope he doesn't feel guilty.
I brought that back up, and that man laughed like an idiot in my own face.
No, he has a beautiful smile and a beautiful laugh. I don't know what you're doing.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. And he burned me to a freaking crisp.
Your take right there was lazy.
Rashad, I love that guy, man. I love that guy. Know what else I love? When Lonzo does sports flashes. That one was lazy.
Yeah, that was pretty lazy. This won't be a hell.